start my recording. So welcome to our next session
Okay.
of integration, which is the integrals of trigonometric functions. So we have already discussed the derivatives of trigonometric functions. So I hope you still remember the formulas for the integrals of you still remember the formula for derivatives of trig. So basically, since the integration is the opposite, so primarily we can check our answers using differentiation. Now, for integrals of trigonometric functions, just the same. However, merong mga naiba na sa ating formula. So, we copy our formula first. So, this is the formula for our integration for basic trigonometric function. So, what can you observe on our on the integrals of this one? Bakit kaya ganyan yan?
Parehas sila yung sa baliktad.
Yes,
Parang baliktad.
baliktad, no? However, there is an ln, absolute value of sec u. So, we will going to derive that when we proceed to logarithmic functions. No? Kung paano naging ln sec u yan. But for now, you have to first memorize that one or write that on your notebook. So, you have a guide.
So, anong tawag dun sa yung LN tapos yung wall, anong tawag dyan?
Ito ay absolute value.
Ano po yung ginagamit?
So, the absolute value tells you that bawal ka magkaroon ng negative number. Oo, ganun lang yun. Ibig sabihin, yung domain ng absolute value function, di ba,
Okay,
palagi
sa
siya.
loob ng...
Wala lang yun, basta nasa loob lang siya. Bawal siya magka-negative.
Yung second U ay bawal siya negative.
Positive lang, yes. Positive lang natin. Okay? Nakopya na ba yan?
Opo.
So, on the next, let's try to check the integration. So, let's first find the derivative. Let's check nga kung bakit sine yun, derivative ng cos u. So, let's check what is the derivative of... So, if we check, what's the ddx ng negative cosine? Cosine x. Ano yung derivative ng cosine x? Ang derivative ng cosine
Negative
x
sin
ay
x.
negative sin x. Negative sin x, ano pa? Yun lang, negative sin x lang. Tama? But as you can see, walang negative. O bakit ganun? Because if I get the integral of this one, what would happen? Kinuha ko integral nitong negative sin x. If I get the integral of negative sin x, lalabas si negative. Sinong matitira sa loob? Integral ng sin x. Tama? O, ano ba integral ng sin x? Negative cosine x. Tama? So, basically, itong negative sin x dx na yan, pag kinuha ko yung integral ng sin x dx ay magiging negative times magiging sa loob ko? Cosine, negative cosine u x.
Parang positive cosine lang siya.
Oo. That's why, if you multiply this one, the answer is cosine x dx. So, that's the reason why the integral of sine u is negative cosine u. Okay? Now, this one, we're going to discuss this when we proceed to logarithmic functions. Now, let's proceed. So, these are the other formulas for the integral of secant u and the integral of cosecant u du. So, you can copy or screenshot that one. Nakopya mo na, Mr. Yaya.
Okay.
Okay na? So, what have you observed naman? Ang daming mga, ang daming mga ln, ano. So, sa ngayon, sauluhin mo na muna yung ganyang formula. Okay, now let's proceed with our examples. So, how are we going to find the cosine of 4x dx? So, that's basically, so, paano natin kukunin to, itong cosine 4x dx? Are we going to get that?
Sine tayo. Sine.
Ha?
Sine 4x. Sine
Okay.
4x.
We are going to let, ano yung ilalet natin dyan? What do you think?
Cosine 4x o 4x lang.
Si 4x lang, di ba? Kapag nag-let u tayo, let u be equal to 4x, ano mangyayari? Magiging du, sagot, 4 dx. Tama? So, basically, as you can see on the given, ano magiging simplified form nito? Isusulat mo ang simplified form niya. So, cosine u dx. O, tingnan mo yung cosine u dx. O, tingnan mo yung formula mo. May makukuha na ba tayong information dito sa du?
Sine u.
What is our given? Dx. The rest is
Sine
u na, di ba?
cosine.
So, anong gagawin natin para mapalitan si dx? We're going to divide both sides by 4 para maging du over 4. So, basically, we are going to replace du over 4 sa dx. So, if we replace that, we are going to get cosine u multiplied to du over 4. So, ano papansin mo? Pwede nang isolve, diba? So, if we solve this one, magkakaroon tayo ng, lalabas natin si 1/4. Then, we are going to get the integral of cosine u multiplied to du. What's the integral of cosine u? Equal to 1/4 times, what's the integral of cosine u?
Sine.
Sine u.
Sine u.
So, sine u
Cosine u. Sine u.
plus c. So,
Sine
what
u.
is our u? Our u is equal to 4x, di ba? So, substitute lang natin doon. Ano nare-record? Ayan, substitute lang natin doon and we are going to get 1/4 sine 4x. Tama? Plus c. So, ano shortcut? O, try mo to. Integral ng sine u. Anong shortcut?
Negative cosine u.
Negative 1/4. Anong shortcut? 1/4. Anong integral ng
Cosine
sine?
u.
Sine u. Cosine. Cosine u, di ba?
Cosine. Cosine.
The answer is cosine 4x. So, ganun lang. Linalagay sa reciprocal yung coefficient natin dito. Diba? So, kung integral ng cosine pi x, paano yan? So, basically, the answer is 1 over pi times the derivative of cosine u, which is negative. Hindi. Anong derivative ng cosine u? Sine u lang. So, sine pi x. Naintindihan? So, ganun lang yung pattern, no? Pinalabas ko lang yung reciprocal nung nasa loob ng aking x. Okay? Understand? Okay, copy first.
Okay na po.
Mhm. Okay, next. O, paano kaya pag ganito naman? Paano naman kaya ito, ano? How are you going to get the answers for that? So, this is parang sec x tan x yan, di ba? Tanda mo ba yung derivative? So, paano yan? Paano kaya natin yan so-solve? What formulas are you familiar with?
Second, sec hx
Yan, di ba? Yung sec h, ano pa yun?
o sec at saka sec hx at saka yung secant x.
Kaya lang, mahirap i-distinguish kung y over 2 yan, di ba? So, maglelet tayo ng u. Okay? So, if we let, anong ilelet u natin? Let u,
As y over 2.
y over 2. Then we find du. So, what's du? Du equal to 1 over 2 dy. Tama? Now, what would happen next? Since we are going to write the simplified form of this one. So, this the palaging pagkakuha mo ng du, lalalit mo na yung simplified form na ito para mai-imagine mo siya kung ano yung pwedeng makancel. So, this is sec u tan u dy pa din, di ba? O, may makakancel ko. Puro u na. Pero may dy ako. Ang gagawin ko? Tatanggalin ko si dy. Paano ko mapapalitan si dy? Hihingi ako ng tulong kay dito. So, para makancel si dy, just multiply both sides by 2. So, magiging dy equal to 2 du. Tama? So, basically, the integral of this, pwede na natin palitan, sec u, tapos tan u, times, ano yung pinalit natin? 2 du. So, same variable of integration na. We can get 2 here. So, integral of sec u tan u. Tingnan mo
Di
yung
ba nag-multiply?
ah,
So, nag-multiply tayo ng 2. So, paano yung okay. I get ko. Kasi yung dy, nag-multiply tayo ng 1/2, so equals to 1. So, parang wala na yon.
mm, okay na? Next. So, paano naman kapag ganito? Ano na naman kayang ililet yun natin?
Yun na yung final answer, sir.
Ha?
Yun na yung final answer.
Ay,
Hindi na
ibabalik
natin
natin si
i-simple.
ano. O, anong integral ng sec u tan u? Sa derivatives, ano yung kamukha niyan? Sino ang sa derivatives, anong try yung secant x, di ba? So, the answer is sec x, di ba? Tama ba, sec x? So, pwedeng,
Check X.
this is sec x. Ano ba yung sec u? O, ano yung y ko? Ay, ano yung u ko? 2 sec,
Squared.
anong squared? Y, oh, u ko ay y over 2, di ba? So, y over 2. Tama? Plus c. Okay?
Wala na
Next.
hindi yun.
Ha? du. Saan? Wala na. Di ba? Pag integrate ko si du, anong sagot? 1. Plus c na yun. Paano naman kapag ganito? Anong gagawin natin? So, in here case, palagi nating ile-let u is yung nasa loob ng square root. So, as you can see, what is the nasa loob ng square root? Ano bang i-integrate ko dyan? Ano yung ile-let u ko sa tingin mo? Pag nag-let u ako, let u, trial and error ka, no? Pero kadalasan naman yung nasa loob ng mas complicated na exponent. Okay? So, if we let u be equal to square root of x, what's the answer? du ay x raised to
1 over X.
1. So, this is, ano yung formula nito? Tinuro ko shortcut. 1 over 2 square root of
1 over X.
x. Tsaka, d
Oo.
x, di ba? Yung tinuro ko shortcut na ang derivative ng square root of x is palagi ganyan. Tama? Now, if that is the derivative, let's see the simplified form of this one. Yun yung palaging step 2 pagkakuha natin ng du. So, magiging ito, cosine u over u dx. Tama? O, ngayon, may problema pa ba ako sa ibang variable? U na to, x. So, ito lang naiiba, so ito lang papalitan ko. Saan ko kukunin yon? Dito. Dito sa equation na to. Dito ako hihingi ng tulong. Now, in order for me to get the help of this equation, in order for me to get the dx, we're going to multiply just 2 square root of x. Multiplying 2 square root of x times du, we are going to get dx na lang. So, si dx, we can replace by 2x du. But the question is, there is still x. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, ano pwede kong gawin kung meron pang x dito? Anong gusto kong gawin?
Gawin U.
Ang gusto kong gawin sa buhay is maiwan lang si dx square root of x. So, meaning to say, what does that mean? Saan ba merong dx over square root of x? Parang naulan ha. Pause ko muna.
Ulan ba
Okay,
dyan?
let's continue. So, ano kayang pwede nating gawin?
Ulan ba dyan?
Naulan. So, kung makikita nyo, this is the simplified form. Diba? So, pero, ano yung pwede nating gawin? Ano yung pwede pa nating gawin? Pwede nating gawin para makancel si square root of x, what are we going to do? We are going to let u yung nasa loob lang ng cosine. Bakit? Tingnan mo ha. Pag yung linet u ko is yung nasa loob lang ng cosine, then we are going to have integral of cosine u. Tama? Pero, maiiwan ako ng square root of x dx dito. So, bakit ko ginawa yan? Now, take a look at the function. Paano ko
So,
matatanggal
para
si dx
mag-cancel
square root of
tayo,
x? Yes. So, ano gagawin ko?
yung
Ititira ko si
substitute.
yung substitute. Ititira ko sino?
To X.
Okay, kasi yung form na naiiba ko ay dx over square root of x. Tama? So, therefore, dapat, yung matitira ko, isolate ko dapat is dx over square root of x. Right? Now, if we get that, the answer is 2 du equals siya sa Pag dinivide ko ng square root of x yan, the answer, that is dx over square root of x. So primarily, the dx square root of x here, I can replace that dx over square root of x by this 2 du. So substituting that one, we can get cosine u times 2d. What's the integral of cosine u 2 du? So lipat ko dito. So the integral of
Uh,
cosine u is
2,
equal to sine u, di ba? Ano ba yung u ko?
replace natin si U.
Oo. So, ano ba yung u ko? Ang u ko ay sine square of x
Square of
multiplied
X.
sa then plus na lang lalagay ko. Tama? Nagets? Nagets ba?
Hindi ba siya negative?
Bakit negative? Ang integral ng
Okay. Ay, oo
cosine
nga
ay
pala.
ano? Sine, di ba?
Negative sign?
Ha?
Sign
Ang
pala.
integral ng
Hindi,
cosine ay sine.
nalilito ako.
O, huwag kang malilito ha.
Nalilito kasi nagamit ko yung sa derivative.
Yung sa
Yung basic.
derivative. May kopya ka naman dyan ng formula.
Sa
Kaya,
derivative, negative sign pero sa integral, sign lang. Hindi siya negative.
mm. Okay, continue. Halimbawa, paano pag ganyan naman? Meron tayong cosine squared, no? Cosine x over sine squared x. How are we going to do that? Anong ilelet yu ko? Tingnan, try nga natin anong ilelet yu natin. Anong ilelet yu ko dyan? Kapag dinerive ko, may lalabas na dx. So, this is trial and error. So, ano gusto mong ilet yu ko? Para mas maano natin. Mas
Sign,
ma-visualize.
yung sign
Ano?
squared,
Sine squared x. So,
sign
itatry
squared,
natin ha kung matatanggal natin siya. So, if we let u be equal to, saan nga equal? If we let u be equal to sine squared x dx, what would happen? We are going to have cosine u over, cosine x over u times dx. Pero pag kinuha natin si du, what's the derivative of sine squared x? Magkakaroon ako ng 2 cosine, tama? 2 cosine x, the derivative of x is 1 lang din. So, times dx. So, primarily, we can say that we can substitute the cosine x here. Right? Tama ba? Ang derivative ng cosine x ay ang derivative ng sine squared x ay hindi, mali. Ang derivative ng sine squared x ay ano? 2,
cosine squared, 2 cosine,
2
negative,
sine squared
yung
x,
derivative.
kopya, di ba kinokopya yan, times yung derivative ng nasa loob, hindi. Ang derivative ng sine squared x ay
Cosine x,
cosine
pero
x.
squared ko, hindi
Ayun,
ko.
cosine x. Tama, dx. Okay? So, what is our simplified form? Our simplified form is cosine x over u dx. Tama? O, anong nakikita mo dyan sa ano natin? What can you see? I will be having,
Yung 2.
anong makakancel dyan?
Yung
Bili. Isip, isip. Paano mangyayari dyan?
Mag-cancel tayo.
Anong ika-cancel natin?
Pwede, sir, na ibalik yung U, yung let U tayo. Ibalik siya
O, pag
para
binalik mo, anong
mag-cancel tayo.
mangyayari?
2 cosine X.
Hindi. Ano yung mas madaling paraan para ganit, para maano? Bago ka mag-let U, ang pinakamadaling paraan para ma-solve siya is what? Is to simplify the function. Okay, now how are we going to simplify this function? If we have integral ng cosine x over sine squared x, this is equal to what? Integral ng, saan to equal? Sa cosine x over sine x, ihiwalay ko si sine squared x times 1 over sine x dx. Tama? So, pag kinuha ko sa integral ng cosine x over sine x, what is 1 over sine x? Saan to equal? Trigonometric identity yan. This is cosecant x, di ba? And this cosine x over sine x is that's equal to cot x, tama? So primarily, we can replace this one by a trigonometric identity such that this one will become cotangent x multiplied of xx. So this has because what is anong derivative anong sagot sa derivative? Ang derivative cosecant x. Derivative ng cosecant x, tama? So therefore, the answer is negative cosecant x d negative cosecant x plus c. Bakit negative? Because the derivative of cosecant x is equal to negative. Anong sagot sa derivative ng x? Cot x plus. Naintindihan. Negative yan. Kung gusto ko mahanap si cos x cosecant, negative cosecant x yung integral ko. Naintindihan? Okay?
Derivative formula, no?
Yes, derivative formula lang yan. Okay? So, how are we going to solve this problem naman? Nasagot na ba natin to? Sine squared x. O, try mo nga yan. Paano natin yan masasolve? I'm gonna post the recording. You try it first on your paper. So, if we left u be equal to sine squared x, what would happen? We will have du 2 sine x cosine x
Cosine X.
dx. What's our simplified form? Integral ng u cosine x. Tama? Tama ba? Cosine x dx. So, paano ko makakancel si cosine x dx? Di-divide ko ng du divided by 2 of 2 sine x. So, du over 2 sine x. Ito yung ipapalit ko sa cosine x dx. However, if we do that, you look at the answer, meron pa rin sine x. Paano yun? Hindi pa rin nawala si ano. Hindi ko pa rin napalitan yung may x. Kasi pag sinubstitute ko, what happened is I have du over 2 sine x. O may sine x na naman. O, paano yun? Diba? So, meaning to say, yung sine squared x, hindi siya pwede. Naintindihan? O, ganun lang yon. Now, if we let u be equal naman sa cosine x, if I let that u be equal to cosine x, Tama, ano? Yung pinalit natin dito. So, pag pinalit natin yan sa cosine x dx, so, delikado pa din, no? But, if we let, yung trial 2 natin, if we let u be equal to cosine x, so the d of that is negative sine x dx. Remember that our function that is simplified using letting u is sine squared x times u. Now, we have dx here. But this is a negative sine x over 3 kohan.
Pwede tayong mag-cancel.
So, here, if we divide this one by sine x, what would happen? So, basically, the formula for du would become du over negative sine x, diba? Tama ba? Nai-imagine mo na ba yung ano natin? Diba, ito yung papalitan natin, sine x dx. But, as you can see, hindi natin siya magagawa. Why? Kasi, naka-squared to. So, basically, if I replace the sine x dx by, if I replace this sine squared x by sine x dx, matitira pa rin akong squared. So, ano pa yung isa natin pwedeng i-let, Mr. Yana? So, the other function that we can let pa rin para makakuha tayo ng sagot is, di what? Yung sine x. Bakit? Ano bang ibig sabihin ng sine squared x? Yung sine x, in-square ko. Yung buong sine x ang in-square
Dalawa
ko.
lang siya.
So, definitely, we will be having sine x tapos naka-squared. Naintindihan? So, basically, if we have that kind of function, what are we going to do? We are going to let u yung nasa loob ng mas malaking exponent, hindi yung buo. Now, let's try to let u be equal to sine x. What's your answer? Du is equal to, anong derivative ng sine x?
Cosine x.
Cosine x. Tama ba? Cosine x ang derivative ng sine x. Hindi ba ano? Hindi ba,
Cosine x.
hindi ba tawag dun? Negative cosine x? Check mo nga sa notes mo. Anong derivative ng
Sa integral o sa derivative?
derivative? Ang derivative ng sine x ay cosine x lang, di ba? So, cosine x lang.
Opo. Pero,
So, if we like the simplified form of this integral, we are going to have u squared times, ilan? Cosine x dx. So, nakikita mo na ba yung parehas? Yung mahiwagang makakancel natin if we replace this one by du. So, the answer is integral ng u squared du. Makakancel ko na siya. Naintindihan? Now, if we have this done, we can already solve this one by adding the fraction. So, the answer is u cubed over 3 plus c. Now, what's our u? We let u as be equal to
Sine
sine x. So, the answer is sine x cube over 3
over
plus
3
c.
plus c.
Ayan ang sagot. Naintindihan. Hirap ano?
Mahirap.
Mahirap
Pwede ko pa
talaga.
makita isang beses lang.
Alin? Oh, naka-record
Yung
naman ito.
final answer.
Ayan, sine x
Okay.
cube. Di ba? Mahirap talagang integral. Basic pa to ha. Basic pa ng trig function. So, how about this one? So, ano kaya ile-let you natin dito? Magle-let you ba tayo agad o pwede natin i-simplify? So, let's try to simplify this yan. Pag sinimplify natin yan, magkakaroon tayo ng bago ka mag-let you, try mo muna i-simplify si function. Kasi baka, pwede naman siyang ma-simplify. Tama, equal lang yan dyan, di ba? So, basically, that will become integral of 3 over sine for
Bakit siya
x plus 1.
3 over sine for x?
Ayan. Di ba pag meron tayong a plus b over c, what would happen? We can divide that by a over c plus b over c. So, pwede yun. Unless a plus b tapos c, we cannot separate that one, ha? Because over a, mali yan. So, dapat ganito lang yung valid. Now, what are we going to do if we cannot simplify that one? Then, we are going to let something, no, that can be used for us to simplify this function. Now, if we let, try natin mag-let ng u. So, if we let u, what would happen? Let u be equal to sine 4x. What's the derivative of that one? Ang derivative ay 4 sine 4x. Tama, dx. Now, yung simplified form nito ay 3 plus u over u times du. Tama? So, si du, pwede na natin siyang palitan ng 4x, 4 sine 4x dx. Primarily, we can have, sa given pala, this is dx, no? Dx. So, this dx can be replaced by dividing du to 4 sine 4x. Because, if we simplify this more, we will have dx is equal to du over 4 sine 4x. Now, let's try. If we do that, we are going to have a function, integral ng 3 plus u over u times du over 4 sine 4x. Okay? But the problem is, we have a variable x that is different to the variable of our integration. That's why, you cannot use that. Naintindihan?
Mali.
Mali siya, hindi siya pwedeng gawin. So, ano yung pang pwede natin gawin para maka-cancel si sine 4x? Ano pa yung pwede
Hindi
mong
ba
i-let?
pwedeng i-cancel lahat sa simula pa lang?
Ma-cancel si sine 4x sa simula pa lang. O sige nga, try mo. Para maano natin, ma-trial and error. Kasi hindi siya pwede, di ba? So, we are going to find our way. How are we going to simplify that one? Ano yung pwede natin gawin?
Yung 4x lang substitute natin? 4x?
Actually, mahaba yung solution dito. We are
4x.
going to use a trigonometric identity, no?
O what if kung ang LTU natin ay yung 4x lang?
Sige
Pwede
nga,
rin
try
ba?
mo kung 4x. Wala pa rin, hindi pa rin makakancel yun. So, this would be your assignment. Kung ano yung i-let you mo para ma-cancel yan. So, hahanap ka ng paraan kung paano yan ma-cancel, no? Para makuha natin yung tamang sagot. Okay? O, yun lang.